I think about the way in which we talk about this work, and it's always from a deficit. So when I say, what is freedom? I don't want you to give me what it isn't. We talk about what's wrong a lot. We operate from a place of need, a place of deficit. But what happens if we think about freedom in an abundance? We don't always create the space, and we don't always make the time to talk about freedom in abundance. We're always talking about what's wrong. Rightfully so, because that mess is triggering. We are living in a constant state of crisis. Something is always popping up on our feed. It makes sense. It's not by accident. My belief is that sometimes that's some of the oppressor's tools and tactics to keep us under a sense of urgency. But if you don't dare to dream, if you can't tell me what freedom actually is, then we're not really fighting. We're just resting in the comfortableness of the existing forms of power and then constantly trying to destroy those without creating or building something new. I want us to think about what we build that's new. When I think of what freedom is, whether it's a definition, like I'm reading Bell Hooks for like the 8th time, all about love, and she's talking about like what is the definition of love. I read The Meaning of Freedom by Angela Davis. It's an incredible book. Read that if you haven't. I'll show you the picture of it later so you remember. And I'm always like looking for the definition. But what does freedom feel like? We just talked about all the things that it isn't. I want us to figure out what it actually is. To me, things like freedom are things like free Wi-Fi everywhere. Because free Wi-Fi everywhere allows people to have access in places where people currently don't have access to information, education, knowledge, and next year, the census. Because nobody is coming to knock on your door to take the census. The census is going to be all done over the phone, mail, or online. There are still people in this country that I work with who do not have internet. Nevertheless, they don't have a computer, but first they don't have internet. Where internet has become this thing that you have to pay for a certain amount of hours. When I think of freedom, I think of women's right to choose what they're going to do with their own fucking body. When I think of freedom, I think of free education everywhere. When I think of freedom, I think of things like everybody should be able to have housing and clean water, and those things are non-negotiables. They are rights for every single human on this planet. When I think about freedom, I think about things like, let's get rid of the Electoral College. When I think of freedom, I think of things like, I want universal voter registration. If you don't have to re-register for your gun license or your driver's license, wherever you registered to vote, you are a registered voter in this country. And it is a trick and a scam, and y'all should know this, to have to force everybody to re-register every single year. Universal voter registration was what freedom feels like to me. Freedom to me also feels like equitable jobs across the country. Equitable paying jobs across the country. It means getting rid of private and for-profit prisons. It means getting rid of fucking prisons, period. It means also getting rid of the police. And some people ain't even on board with that yet, but you will be in a couple years and you realize you was on the wrong side of history. Just like those fools who wasn't against slavery a long time ago, but look at you now, fuck you. I think about freedom in those ways. Freedom to choose. I think of freedom with no borders anywhere. I think of freedom like getting rid of ICE. What is the set of agendas that you have that fall under your definition of freedom? If you do not have those and you are constantly operating from a deficit of what you know you don't want, you're going to burn yourself out. Make that list. It ain't got to be like mine. But don't let them be theoretical. Don't say peace. That's not specific enough. Give me your agenda. Happiness is not freedom. That's theoretical. Tell me what it looks like. I want you to do that so that when you're motivating and pulling other people into this work, they can grab hold of something to believe in. Get rid of racism is not freedom. Ending The entire idea of how people teach history in this country and all the books that fucking lie to us, that is freedom. Telling the real history, that's freedom. But I need you to make it tangible. When you march, when you protest, when you clapping back at the professor who just got racist at you, I need you to be tangible. Give people an idea so they can feel the abundance of freedom, not the deficit.